Now, the best way to validate that your critically important assumptions are actually true is to actually sell the product, right?
Okay.
To do it directly. But that is typically expensive and risky. So if you go whole hog and you just decide to do it and it doesn't work, that's not a good situation to be in.
Okay.
Better to keep your life savings around for times when you really need it instead of business ideas that don't work.
Okay, so
it's much smarter to minimize your risk when you're developing a new venture by presenting your offer to potentially real paying customers first, and this is the important point, before it exists.
How do you do that honestly?
We'll talk about that right now.
Okay.
This is a process called shadow testing. Okay? And essentially, shadow testing is the process of selling something before it actually exists. And the way to do that is you probably already have a prototype, whether it's a finished product or a description or a picture or a rendering or whatever. And you're already getting feedback on that. Shadow testing is the adding of an order process or a pre-order process onto that testing. Okay? Where you are taking people's orders or pre-orders, but you do not charge them. You're completely upfront about it. You do not charge them until the product is ready to go. Okay? And the reason that you do this is that real paying customers, as we said, are very different animals than potentially paying customers. There will be a lot of people who say, oh yeah, I'll buy that. And the offer comes out and you know that they've seen it and it'll buy it. And people say all sorts of different things for different reasons. And, potentially paying customers does not a business make. You need real people putting down real money for what you have. And so the more quickly you can validate that there are people out there with cash, check, or credit card who want what you have to offer, then those typically tend to be critically important assumption type of data. Like, this is how you know whether or not it'll work. And if you can validate before you, invest all of this time and energy developing all of this stuff, or manufacturing a lot of product, or buying equipment for your gym, or whatever that looks like, the better. Okay, so actually collecting orders up front gives you two really important pieces of data, or actually more than that, but two hugely important ones. Number one is the market question.
Yeah, true.
Does an actual market exist for this thing? If people are willing to pay for it, then yes, it does. The second is you can use shadow testing to experiment with your offer.
Oh, yeah.
So you can optimize your offer to be something that people are willing to pay for it. And I'll give you a perfect example that you are very familiar with, which is actually this course. Okay? And not many people know this. I haven't told it to really anyone yet. But this course is actually the product of a shadow test that failed.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yes. Okay? Now, about a month before I started offering pre-orders for this course, I launched what was then known as Personal MBA Group Coaching, which was actually going to be talking about this material, but in more of a small group format. And you remember, I was really...
This is going to be awesome!
Yeah, I was
going to love it!
I was really excited about it. I thought it was going to be great, and I thought a lot of people would really want it. And, just like anything, like, I've been in this market for over 5 years. Like, I know people pretty well in terms of what they want. I thought this was something that people would really like. And I tested it. I launched it. You can go back and read the blog entries on the Personal MBA blog. Like, this was a pre-order launch.
It was going to be like one section for creative people, one section for entrepreneurs, and one section for like educator people.
Yeah, people who want to teach, kind of like what we're doing. And so I launched, people being able to pre-order this, and I thought it was going to be awesome.
And it happened one day when I was at work, and when I got home,
I was really depressed. I was really depressed. It's like, this Like, I launched it, and I'm like a kid on Christmas. Like, this is gonna be awesome. Nothing.
Crickets.
I think I had, you know, and there's probably five or six people who signed up, and you're participating in this course, so you know who you are. And I was just devastated because part of my assumptions was I needed to have at least 20 people in each group in order for it to be worth the time and the energy and the scheduling and, you know, the infrastructure and all of the things that would go into actually creating that. And I had like 5 or 6 total. And that was not a fun experience. Now, I'm really glad that I tested it in a shadow testing format because it's like, okay, there's something here. People are ordering, people are interested, but what the major barrier, and I was basically doing market research, I was iterating. What I found was people had 2 big issues. Number one, they had no idea which group was best for them. They're like, well, I'm kind of a creative person and I'm kind of a teacher. Should I sign up for one? Should I sign up for both? Most people decided not to sign up at all because it was confusing. The other thing was scheduling. It's like, well, if this is a group thing, what if I can't make it?
Right.
What
Then
if
I'm losing out on my money.
Exactly. Okay. So big barriers. Nobody ordered. That was a big deal. So what happened is, you know, as you can see, go back into the archives. I closed it off. I said, you know, the pre-orders for this are closed. And a lot of people assumed that meant that it sold out, which it didn't, obviously. It didn't at all. But I knew what was being taught was valuable. People wanted it. It was just the form in which I was providing it was not good. Didn't meet the need. So I failed.
So we went for a walk and brainstormed.
Yeah. And because it was a shadow test, it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Okay. So worst case, the people who ordered, I could just say, you know, look, this isn't working out. I'll refund your money. No big deal. After a walk and some brainstorming, after finding out what the big barriers were, that idea got morphed into the business crash course. We're covering the same material in the same, in a different format. So, you know, the videos that you're watching right now, you can watch whenever you want. So that takes away a lot of the scheduling. You know, there's a little bit of a scheduling component to the mentorship calls, but you can ask questions regardless, and I will happily, you know, answer them for you independent of the calls.
And you're also going to get transcripts of everything. So if you don't want to watch the videos, you can just read everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, it's you can participate in some of the calls, none of the calls, whatever floats your boat. As much as you want to participate, that's fine. So it really is, it's the same value. The format is completely different. And the experience of pre-launching the crash course was night and day different.
Oh, yeah.
And you could just tell that, you know, before, zero product market fit. Like this, there was a need there, but this didn't do it. And I was able to close that off within a day, restructure it, relaunch it about a week later. And the initial pre-order for this course was 220 people and is going up every single day. And, you know, that's the power of shadow testing. You know, the other thing too is this video is being recorded 2 weeks after the pre-orders for the course launched. The course was not done by the time we started selling it. But by selling it in advance, and, you know, because it was basically a month away, I actually, you know, did charge your credit cards to participate in the course. And if something happens, it would be extremely easy to refund that. But the course is being developed after we already know
The people are interested.
Which is a much better way of doing it because actually some of the lighting equipment that we had is being or was paid for using money from the pre-orders of the course. And so, you know, that also sometimes if you're actually able to charge customers in advance, it gives you a way to validate that there's demand, but also if there are things that you need in order to actually fulfill the demand, it allows you to get those things too.
Makes sense.
So what you can't do is be sneaky about it. You have to be very upfront that it
yeah.
is, so for example, on the crash course, it was very clear that it was a pre-order. There was nothing there yet. But setting that expectation,
Right.
that's perfectly okay.
Absolutely.
The other thing too is if something would go wrong, that there were plans in place that money would go back to everyone if for some reason something happens and nothing could be fulfilled. So, don't think of it like take a whole bunch of people's money and then,
Right,
and
and
then
then
if it
run.
doesn't work out,
Right.
then, well, at least you have people's money.
Right.
I mean, you're not running a scam here, but by taking real orders, whether they're pre-orders without money changing hands, just like a validated credit card or something, or you're actually taking orders, it allows you to validate the demand for something first, and then you can get to use that, either take the pre-orders and, prove that you have a market so now you can invest and go out and do it, or, if it's not going to take you long to actually provide the value, you can take that to improve your ability to actually deliver it. So that's shadow testing in a nutshell.
Cool.
And if you have any questions about it or how to do it right or techniques or ways to do this clearly and ethically in a way that
Right.
doesn't bend any laws or morals, leave a comment.